join us for the inaugural session. Let's put our hands together to welcome Sir. I also invite Lieutenant General Dr. S.P. Kochhar, Director General COAI. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting everybody to be seated, as I have the proud privilege in inviting on stage our eminent dignitaries for the inaugural session. I invite once again on stage Shri A. Robert Gerard Ravi, DDG SRI, DOT, Lieutenant General Dr. S.P. Kochhar, Director General COAI. May I invite Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, Chairman and MD, TCIL. May I invite Mr. Sandeep Saxena, Head of Technology and Solutions, Mobile Networks, India, NOKIA. May I invite Mr. Shyam Mardikar, Group Chief Technology Officer, Mobility Reliance Jio. I invite Mr. Ashwini Rana, Vice President, BIF, and Mr. Shashidharan, Managing Director, BHARAT Exhibitions. Ladies and gentlemen, once again requesting everybody to kindly be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been informed, Honorable Chief Guest Shri S. Krishnan, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Information, Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, will be joining us little later during this session. Meanwhile, we move ahead with the proceedings of the inaugural session. Once again, requesting everybody to be seated. We have our eminent dignitaries on the dais. And we've also been informed, distinguished dignitary, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, Chairman and MD, TCIL, is on his way, will be joining us any moment now. May I also request Mr. Ashwini Rana, Vice President, BIF, to kindly take his seat on the stage, please. Thank you. Namaskar and good morning. Eminent dignitaries on the dais, our special invitees, senior officials, distinguished industry representatives, distinguished delegates, stakeholders, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the inaugural session of the second International Conference and Exhibition BHARAT 6G 2024 on the theme Network Evolution Beyond 5G and India's Vision for 6G, which is being organized by BHARAT Exhibitions and Broadband India Forum in association with BHARAT 6G Alliance, COAI, ETSI and IAFI, and supported by Ministry of Communications, Government of India and Department of Communications, DOT. And ladies and gentlemen, we begin the proceedings with the introductory address by Mr. Ashwini Rana, Vice President, BIF. Let's put our hands together to welcome him.
Honorable dignitaries on the stage, off the stage, my friends from industry, media, very good morning to you and welcome to this session. As we all know that 6G has been already on the priority list of Government of India. Last year, Prime Minister Modi unveiled vision document for 6G and already lots of activities have started. Those were present in the last session. We understood what all is happening through research and pre-standardization phase in India. So lots of excitement we can see in this space. So what is there, what is going to come through 6G in India for general public, for the country, users? This is something quite exciting to see. So primarily, I'll say 6G is for sixth generation, new generation networks, and it is going to be uh, faster speeds. I'll say it will be milliseconds or microseconds kind of speeds you are going to get, and throughput of 1 terabits or more than that. So today's actually great opportunity to hear from people those are working directly on 6G research related subjects and learn where it is going to take us. So evolving telecom networks have been essential ingredient for whatever we are seeing evolution or revolution of economic nature happening in India. So presently, if you see app revolution, which is contributing a lot to Indian digital economy, is sitting on digital network that's created. I just started with 3G, then 4G and 5G. So this is where I'll say lots of credit goes to telecom network creators, providers. Those have built those networks because that's essential in an ingredient, and then app economy sitting over it. So this miracle of app economy is dependent on digital networks coupled by digital payments, which is enabled through UPI, and then OTT, that's something demand generated for entertainment. So there is a data which shows that 10% increase in number of apps download results in 3.1% increase in GDP. And as per latest App Genie data, India is the highest number of app downloads in the world. So this is something which also gives food for thought that many things happen in parallel to create magic. So one is that evolution of networks going from 3G to 4G to 5G, and in the parallel this UPI thing happening, and then OTT creating that multiplier effect to create this magic of digital economy at present. What can happen if 6G comes into play? There are other things also happening in parallel. Artificial intelligence is growing very fast. It is going to be part and parcel of 6G networks, machine learning, IoT, and sensors. So this is going to create services. Those are perhaps not imaginable at this stage today. So, and also, India is uniquely placed because of few other things. For example, we are becoming a new electronic manufacturing hub. Now, coupled with 6G networks, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, device ecosystem manufactured in India, and also gaming space, which is evolving very fast. We are not near to even top 3 companies globally in gaming space, but it is growing very fast. So tomorrow, with this evolving ecosystem of device, 6G, AI, ML, sensors, IoT, gaming, we may be placed best than anybody else to create a metaverse for the globe. So I'm saying there is potential for opportunities. Those are unimaginable at this stage. Government must also be complemented for the encouraging leadership and enabling policies for digital economy. The collective effort has successfully resulted in adoption of ubiquitous connectivity, intelligence, and sustainability as the key element of ITU 6G global framework. Government has taken several measures to help India build standard and use cases. The funding of 100 5G labs, which will also develop 6G use cases relevant for India. I warmly compliment the organizers of this conference, BHARAT Exhibition, Broadband India Forum, and those are supporting this event, and wish you all very best. And I hope all day-long discussion and deliberation in this conference will prove interesting and useful to all of us, and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for giving us a brief introduction about today's conference and the event. And ladies and gentlemen, now for the operator's address, I have the proud privilege in inviting Mr. Shyam Mardikar. He's Group Chief Technology Officer, Mobility, Reliance Jio. And let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Good morning, Shashi. As always, privileged to be here. Thank you, everyone. I think I won't take more than 10-15 minutes, but I do believe we need to celebrate our telecom journey. I think as a country, as an industry, as telecom professionals, and so many known faces over the last 2.5 decades, I believe we have been together able to move mountains. We have been able to cut across a big global digital divide, which was very highly skewed against us at the break of the century. But in last 25 odd years, I think we have been able to do what I don't believe any other country or any other industry had kind of pulled through. Our contribution, Ashwini spoke about contribution to GDP, our ability to kind of sustain the pandemic with a fully functional digital backbone, from schools to hospital, from industry to manufacturing, from connectivity to personal connect, I think has been a global case study. So what I want to do today is seed thoughts about where are we going with this, where is the next G coming in, and what is the current G kind of getting handled, and how does this all kind of amalgamate towards what we call as the digital leadership of our country. April of this year, Jio became the world's #1 operator from a data consumption perspective. It's an 8-year-old company, and we kind of cut across all operators sitting here for 100, 125, 150 years. And China Mobile was the only operator ahead of us for last 2.5 years, and this April we crossed. This would not have been possible without 5G, but I'd come to that. But as of now, 40 crore GBs of mobile traffic on a daily basis. I was actually looking at the internet, and total number of movies made in the country, made in the world all across in last 125 years. I think 1890s was when the first movies Lumiere brothers made, and from then till today, around 500,000 movies have been made. If you look at this 40 crore GB, what we consume on Jio network on a daily basis, 100% of these 500,000 movies are getting played 200 times on a daily basis. That is the scale. That is the scale of consumption. That is the scale of contribution to the digital society this industry has done. 200 times every movie ever made on a daily basis. 40 crore GBs. If you actually also look at the share of this data consumption, we at Jio contribute to 10% of the global data consumption, which means that every 10 bytes which are getting consumed over the world, 1 byte is on our network. And that's one thing and this has catapulted us into largest digital economy. This has catapulted us into state-of-the-art network operator. This has catapulted us to creating capabilities which were never foreseen before. Voice I am not even talking about. In fact, I remember, I don't know if Shashi would recall, 10 years back, I had made a statement that we are one of the most talkative nations in the world. And we used to do, as a country, all operators taken together, we used to do around 400, 500 crore minutes on a daily basis. Just on Jio network, yesterday we crossed 1800 crore minutes of voice. So that is voice and this is data. So if you look at the scale at which we are operating, the spectrum efficiency at which we are operating, the depth and reach at which we are operating, I think it is mind-boggling. We talk to, almost all of us do that. TV is here, I think he is one of our biggest ambassadors. We talk to everybody around the world on what India has achieved, and people are really awestruck at the scale, at the complexity, at the diversity, at the infrastructure challenges which we have all come through and have created this network together. So that is why I started with that. I think at times we are always worried about what is not going to happen, but at sometimes we need to step back and kind of celebrate what we have been able to do. And that's what my agenda is, because we are at the cusp, we are at the brink of a bigger and a brighter revolution going forward. So this is April 2024. If you look at September of 2023, this is how the global map looks like. And these greens are actually the global state of 5G SA deployment. See, if you look at the map, in reality there is only one country which is really covered. US is covered on the eastern side, big on the urban centers. China is just half covered. And we were able to do this in flat 12 months. Actually, there is one small animation I keep bragging about, and this is what I want you to see. This is where our journey started in October 2022 till October 2023. And these are the samples taken from third-party benchmark companies. These are not our data. This is a third-party data. This is how we grew from a depth of penetration to a user experience perspective. This is weighted average. 4G weighted average was 20 Mbps. Now 4G and 5G weighted average is around 250, 300 Mbps. 5G average is any which way 500 Mbps plus if you look at only native 5G average. But this is how in 1 year, 12 months flat, we were able to light up 1 million plus 5G cells. Again, one of the largest global deployments, not one of the largest global deployment in the world. At peak of our deployment in June of 2023 for 2.5, 3 months, we were lighting up one 5G cell every 10 seconds in the country. Every minute 6 5G cells were getting lit up. So this all comes together from various stakeholders. See, we are at the forefront of delivering, so we can actually come and share these numbers, but this all comes together where there is an infrastructure readiness, product readiness, capability readiness, design and plan readiness, and all of this. And that is what makes it tick. So if you look at over last 2-3 years, with the advent of, India as a country actually boarded a bit late on the 5G bandwagon. I still remember the IMC in 20, and that is where it all got triggered, October of 2022. Honorable Prime Minister said in that IMC that we want 5G, and in next IMC we were a million cells big network. So the political will, the direction, the drive, the commitment, the field operating teams all across the country. It is, I'll be preaching to the choir if I talk about the complexity in creating a network in this country. ROWs are difficult, terrains is difficult, weather is very, very severe these days. Come winter, come monsoon, come summer, it is all extremely difficult to. Transportation, infrastructure, warehousing, power, electricity board, battery, diesel generator, fiber, all of that coming together for lighting up one cell and one cell and one cell up to 1 million cell. That's the big story. And there were some good tailwinds which we were strategically able to acquire and drive. 700 is a very classical example because spectrum auctions are in the offing, and I wanted to highlight a good strategic call which we took. I think we are the only operator in the country with a sub-gigahertz 5G presence, which means that we are able to run a 5G network independently, and that's the standalone green chart you saw, independently of any other network. Not kind of use the underlying 4G or anything as an anchor layer, but an independent, high capacity 5G layer. I'm sorry. The other thing is around newer capabilities like carrier aggregation, the newer capabilities of the state-of-the-art devices and things like that. Unless these are not part from the day zero of design, it is very difficult to create a network and then make sure that the experience is also at par of best in the global. In fact, better than best in the global at most cases. One other thing which we are supremely proud of is our intellectual property around creating a standalone core ourselves. We are possibly the only operator in the world which is running their network on their own core. There is no other operator in the world. And this core has been created from grounds up, right from the 3GPP standards and designs, our own software teams, our own hardware design on to getting the right set of chipsets, right set of radios, right set of core network, right set of geo distribution, right set of capacity modeling and things like that. Now this ensures that whatever we are doing, we are actually not trying to create, and one of the other things which we are not very big fan of doing is doing something for the doing sake, tick mark sake. When we say we want to do 5G, we want to cover the country doing 5G. We don't want to sprinkle sites here and there in few urban cities and declare victory. Because the consumption is not limited to Delhi's or Mumbai's or Kolkata's of the world. It comes from Bareilly's, it comes from Coimbatores, it comes from far of Northeast and all of that. In fact, the state with the highest share of 5G data today in our country is Bihar for us. Almost 40% of our cellular data is on 5G in Bihar. Delhi it is 29%. Mumbai it is 28%. So this shows the total breakage of digital divide. This shows the value proposition. If you put it right to the customer doesn't mind whether he's sitting in Connaught Place or whether he's sitting in a small bazaar in urban Maharashtra or urban Bihar or deep rural Maharashtra or rural Bihar or even deep rural Orissa or Northeast for that. And that is one big delivery to the nation, so that if you can flatten out the digital infrastructure, if you can give somebody on the road, on the railways, at the airports, in deep villages, in Gram Panchayat, same 500, 600, 800 Mbps, what you do in South Delhi when you move towards Le-Meridien, I think that calls for a delivery going forward. This was the 5G stack I was talking about. End-to-end homegrown, right from network function design to AI and ML capable management system, automatic cloud orchestration, automated virtualization. Every line of this code is owned by us. That's the big thing and this includes, and we are now getting ready to productize it to actually take it outside the country to make sure that this technology is getting used and subsumed by other operators in the country. The other big innovation in 5G which we have been able to do is the concept of digital twin. We have all been talking about digital twin, but one other thing which we have managed to do is make sure that 100% of the network visibility, network performance, network management and network operations are run on a model which is directly visible to us on screen. It's a 3D model. If you look at this example of a Hiranandani building, we know exactly what the consumption is, the signal strength is, the propagation delay is, the latency is on each one of those windows of the building. It is not about just going there and say, oh yes, I am covering this building, which is our 4G and below model. When we cover a building, we know that every nook and corner of the building, the first floor to 8th floor to 25th floor to 40th floor, the east wing to west wing to north wing to south wing, deep indoors, how is it covered? What is right, what is wrong, where is it going? And if we are able to do this, this is where between these two capabilities, between getting the ability to have a really benchmarked speed ahead of competition, making sure that the depth and breadth of that speed is ahead of competition, and then taking it to the next level, where you are talking about automating everything so that before you go to any call, physical call to action, you have very clear view of last byte which you are going to deliver to the last location, to the last geo hash on your own homegrown stack. And this builds our 5G together, bridging the digital divide, getting to the nooks and corners, using the right spectrum, using the highest of spectral efficiency, creating a stack that is homegrown. The engineers are ours, the young engineers who are right now motivated to go to 6G now going forward. This is something which we are very proud of. And then if you look at what is the big fundamental change that 5G brings beyond connectivity, and this kind of paves the way into getting into the next generations and next capability. One big thing which is there is it is beyond connectivity. When it is beyond connectivity, so till 4G we were obsessed with speeds. 3G is faster than 2G, 4G is faster than 3G. 5G is obviously faster than 4G, but that does not end or that does not justify the generation's technical capability. For the first time in a telecommunication network, the industry, the standards, the 3GPP have been able to amalgamate what I call as the holy trinity of communication. In fact, these are the three wise men, I believe, which have been kind of prophesizing about what happens on the trinity. Moore said the processing power will double every year. Kreider says that Gilder said that the bandwidth in the universe doubles every year. And if you look at those capabilities, bandwidth in the universe doubles every year. If you look at on a 10-year horizon, 2 to the power 10 is exactly 1000. 2004, Tandon Saab is here, he will remember we were talking about introducing H kbps of speed, kilobits per second. 10 kbps, 5 kbps on BlackBerry was a miracle at that point of time. Fast forward to 2014 in 5G, 16 in 5G when we launched, Mbps was an easy thing. Mbps was a given in our 4G networks. 1000 times in 10 years, from kbps to Mbps. Today we are talking about 2024 Gbps, another 1000 times. So it looks phenomenally miraculous if you look at what is actually, over last 20 years from kbps into 1000 to Mbps into 1000 to Gbps, we have actually moved a million miles. Million times of kbps is what a Gbps is today. And we are giving that speed. Kreider, the density of the hard disk and the cost of the density of the hard disk doubles every year, which means again over a 10-year period, what GBs you are carrying in your phone, you are carrying TBs now. So everything is now moved to 1000 times more in 10 years, a million times more in 20 years. And if you look at each one of these attributes, this is showing where the technology is going. And it is very easy on this gradient to actually put forth and go to 2034 and see what is happening there. In fact, I went back and I actually looked at what NASA did in 1969, already 55 years back. The numbers are here. The phone which we carry today, each one of those devices is billions of times more capable, more connected, more powerful than all of Houston station of NASA. Now that is a different matter that they use that, whatever that number is, 64 kb and 0.043 megahertz to send a man on the moon and get him back. We use ours to play Candy Crush. But otherwise, we are a billion times bigger than what, and imagine a billion of these devices. So that's the scale, that's the capability which we are trying to drive now going forward. And this is the cusp. And again, I repeat what I said 5 minutes back, that we are on the cusp of an era. As this 5G breaks and evolves into 5G advanced and then 6G. We are talking about a giga-tera era where we're already touching tera form factors, and I am sure by the time this decade ends, tera would be the name of the game very easily. And that is the big cusp we are sitting at going forward. So how will the next G look like? These two are my favorite people in telecom. On the left there is Bell, which is the father of telecom. So we are all here just because of the gentleman towards the left. If he had not been there, the industry would not have been there. And on the right is Shannon, a slightly lesser known person, but all telecom engineers know him big. Shannon defines the limit of telecommunication. Shannon says, oh, you can only go this far and no further. So here is the beginning and here is the end. And all the research, all the innovation happening in telecommunication is for systems to grow as close to Shannon limit as possible. And if you're closer to Shannon limit, you have designed a high performance. What did Shannon say? This is Shannon's law. This is the only technical chart. I continue to keep this chart in my presentation because this is important. This actually talks about three things. It talks about B, which is the available spectrum. More the spectrum, more the capacity. And that has been very intuitively clear from 2G's days where we're talking about kilohertz carrier to 3G days where we're talking about 10 megahertz carrier to 4G days we're talking about 70, 80 megahertz carrier to 5G days where we're talking about 100 megahertz, hundreds of megahertz of carrier. So the spectrum increases, the capacity increases obviously. Next G will obviously have more spectrum. So that's part number one. The second part of it is the efficiency, the signal to noise ratio or the capability to propagate. And with capabilities like aware MIMOs, massive MIMOs, multi-user MIMOs, and this, we have come a long way from conventional 2TR systems to 4TR to 32TR to dynamic and software-driven beamforming capabilities. But there is one other big factor which he spoke about, is about the power, because one of the bigger components on signal is the power. And I think that is one most complicated attribute which we will have to go past if we are going to get to the next generation. How do you increase the power of a cell? Because we are already moved from 20 watt systems to 300 watt systems. As an industry, we are one of the biggest data guzzlers in the world. Now, how do we make sure that, and all of us are smart enough, so we keep on highlighting the derived KPIs like watts per hertz. But if and hertz is increasing because the spectrum is increasing. So even if you do 10 times more power and 100 times more spectrum, watts per hertz is 1/10. But the reality is actual watts is actually increasing 10 times. How do you keep your commitment to the green commitment which you need to have? How do you keep your compliance to keep the planet right? How do you still continue? Because the other attribute to S by N is number of cells. How do I deep densify my network without compromising the interference? How do I deep densify the network without compromising the power pollution going forward? And that is something I think as standards we have to grapple with. That is something which I believe we'll need to get together and understand that how will that manifest itself in 6G going forward. So how will you use all of this technology, get the compute available to you, storage available to you, bandwidth any which way is now getting immense, and then democratize it to the last edge center or deep edge center or deep edge data center to make sure that the consumption is flattened, your speeds, your last mile is the smartest, your last mile is the strongest, and how do you then make the network which is aware, and that is the whole AI ML bandwagon which is now getting embedded into the Gs. That how do you make sure that the network is aware of traffic? The network is not only self-optimizing, which is obviously happening today, but also self-evolving. How the network manifests itself saying that, okay, I need to handle a signaling storm here than a bearer storm here. And I need to then rebuild my signaling part of the network rather than taking care of the tonnage. Or there is a lot of upload, download happening here in the stadium because IPL is being played. How do I make sure that the capacity side is beefed up? On the fly, on real time. And all of this needs to come together. And this is the whole programmability part of the network. But one thing which we are not so great doing it is looking at the big picture. As sub-verticals, as domain specialists, we usually get pulled down by one of the domains and talk about it. How do we bring it all together? Infrastructure is important. Street furniture is important. Rooftops are important. Height of the radios and railway lines are important. Power is extremely important. How much power do you want? How much power you can save? What is your power efficiency when the cell is not performing? How much power is green? How much power is to the grid? How much power is non-conventional? How much power is battery driven? How do you design this to scale? Because creating a functional model, and we at India have learned it hard way, that creating a functional model and making a scalable functional model is chalk and cheese. You can radiate one site, you can radiate 100 sites. But when you have to radiate 1 million cells, it's a different ball game. Because 1 million cells means 1 million into X batteries, 1 million diesel generators, 1 million power supplies, 1 million fiber connectivity, 1 million towers, 1 million rooftops. How do you do that? And that software again, thankfully as a country, we are a country of software nerds. We write software all across the world. We have now come back and started writing it in the country. I am sure we'll be clearly a world leader. Hardware, the whole chip design scenario, the whole server design scenario. The other thing on hardware is around environmental condition. We are not as infrastructurally luxurious as the colder countries or the countries with 100% air conditioned shelters and things like that. It's difficult for us to create and maintain. Not that we can't do it, we are doing it, but it is difficult. So again, how do we scale that up? And so this is just one elephant. I can actually create 3 or 4 or 5 elephants, somebody around chipset, around throughputs, around capabilities, around cost. And the bigger part, the bigger message which I'm driving is how are in this world of the programmable network, how are we pulling it all together? How are we trying to step back and look at a bigger picture and then say, okay, If 6G is coming to India in next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, these are the 5 big things that are going to hit us. And this is how we are going to use it to scale. May the 4th just pass, the Star Wars day. And my favorite quote from Star Wars, slightly changed in programmable world, may the source be with you this time, not the force. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for that informative operator's address. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting for the special address our very special guest, Shri A. Robert Gerard Ravi, DDG, SRI, Department of Telecommunications. And let's once again put our hands together to welcome sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries, the dais, my friend Shashi. Thank you for once again inviting me. I think this is the second conference on 6G Alliance. I think it is a real great pride and prestige to be around once again on this 6G. Because we have been, as from the government of India, we have been pushing a lot on the 6G of late. I was just mentioning, in the last few months, we opened up an accelerated research on 6G. We got more than 470 hot proposals, and Government of India is actively trying to see how we can fund these proposals. Very interestingly, these varies from all the 20 different topics of 6G, which people have been talking about, ranging from semantic communication, fluid cells, antennas, and your spectral sensing, RIS, etc. So the complete range, there are a lot of proposals. What is great that's going to change on 6G? I think, as the previous speaker very clearly mentioned, was one of the operator was, a very leading operator who was just grown up big in 5G. Now when 6G comes, unless the investments in the 5G comes in, 6G will actually, though the technology may be available, unless the operators are all available and ready to take it, it's not going to be a jump start. So we need to really balance the growth in technology, what is available in 6G and this technology, and what actually is the reality. I think I already mentioned from the operator's point of view, what is key that we can do. We need to focus on 3 critical areas. Openness of the system. How open? Because I can bring in any system of, say, a RAN network, your core network, or your network, etc., and plug into any of the system. It should be completely, the system should be openness, because the 6G that talks about more of a distributed network where I can be able to fit in any of these units from one area to another area seamlessly. The next is spectrum. Yes, we can't be, as we need large chunks of spectrum, yes, a lot of research is happening. We are talking about terahertz spectrum. We are doing researches on 6Gs in gigahertz spectrum. But we also need to find out, can I balance what is the spectrum that is available with me, and I do it more efficiently. So that is where the very important factor of how spectral efficiency, like can I use some dynamic spectral efficiency planner, like something like blind detection, eigen control, etc. These could again play a very important role. And the third very important thing I mentioned earlier also was, how do we have AI/ML in the sector? Maybe can we bring in native transmitters, receivers, etc. So as an industry, once the technologies are all available, we know it's a vast amount of technologies. We can even talk about human cognizant, body area networks. We have a lot of technology that is available in 6G. But we need to be more focused, what is required for the country, and how we can balance it with the operators coming up and using these technologies away. That is the way these 3 will clearly play a role, not only for the country, but for the world also to come up. Can I make a real open network or efficient spectral network? Because we can't be going on giving spectrums. Because the more you go on the upper, maybe in giga and tera, the less is your distance. You know that recently we had, Japan tested the 6G, but if you see the distance is only hardly 100 meters. So we have a lot of other complications coming in. So we need to really do a balance. Going into what basically is going to change in 6G. 6G is going to be, I think, a lot of the basic structure of the cellular architecture can also be changed. We are talking about a complete cell-free architecture. Maybe people are talking about the smartphone the era of smartphone is over. Maybe we're going to have your wearables, your bootables, your specs, everything acting as some sort of a connectivity devices, so that I can, through which can actually use a media for connectivity. So your smartphone may be the end of the era or the death of the era, what we call about it. That could be a very interesting thing. We are talking about what probably an option of a 3D calls, which means today whatever we call is what we call, I call you, answer, it's only a 2D calls. A 3D calls means we make a call, a holographic communication. You can come in front of you and then you can talk as if you're a person. That leads to another very interesting aspect of semantic communication, where really haptic communication, haptic internet, all this also is growing up in a very big way. So it's going to real marriage about what is happening on the technology front and what we have together, but at steps, the various steps we have to take it. Most importantly, the three very essence of it. Can I make it the latency, whatever we have in 5G, we talked about, can I make it in microseconds or make a nanosecond? That's what is going to be the latency. How soon we are going to do it? How efficiently, ubiquitous connectivity. Yes, India was one key change with India contributed in the standardization of the 5G was the ubiquitous connectivity in 5G high. So can I build on it? Already we have this release 19 coming up with the NTN, the non-terrestrial network. 6G talks about the complete ubiquitous connectivity from space to underground, which means from your balloon, from your spaceship down to your submarines. You're going to have a complete ubiquitous connectivity, connecting with. Can we map these both together into one area? So these are a lot of areas of research actually is happening. 6G is going to really change the way we live. What we call the quality of living is completely going to change. Another very interesting area of research I used to always say that it is really mind-boggling. Today, if you see the number of base stations that is available today, we know the base stations are the receivers that actually make your call. So for our room, we have a few base stations sitting around. When we make a call, these calls get connected to the so-called base stations. That is how the call goes in cellular. In 6G, we expect the number is going to reverse. If we have 100 persons around here, and then we will be expecting more than 100. If the K is the number of users and N is the number of antennas, N is going to be greater than M, which means for 100 users, you will be looking at more than 1,000 antennas. How is it feasible? That is why the various technologies like RIS. So your wall may be painted and it can act as active antenna. Your phones could act as an open antenna. A managed network could be arranged. An ad hoc network could be arranged. So the technology is really spreading fast because of the proximity of the availability of the network. The speed is also drastically increasing, not in M. As he was mentioning, it is going to be in gigabits. We are even talking about terabytes. And the government of India has actually put a lot of efforts into it. We have funded a number of projects along with MIT also. We have also started funding the project on 6G testbeds. We are now, as we speak, a lot of research is going on the 6G testbed of what should be the best type of transmitters required, what are the best type of receivers you require. And we are talking about OEM multiplexing techniques. And I'm glad to tell you there's only a few countries in the world, probably the second country next to Japan, which is actually research is happening in the OEM-based 6G technology as a testbed. So we have already jump-started a bit on the technology front. Yeah, there is a lot needs to be, as I mentioned. We need to build in the ecosystem, the operators ecosystem, the technology, the academic, everybody to come down together and then see together as we grow. And then the vision of the government of not only creating IPRs, the 6G RAN, like what you was mentioned there, in-house development, we should have our own. The 6G RAN should be from the country, which will develop the standard for the world. So that's the vision which we have. We are talking to all the players, putting the framework in place, and we are sure we'll be able to achieve that particular agenda. It's a long way forward that we have set the goals in place so that we actually leapfrog and we become the leaders in 6G, driving it. Of course, as we speak, there are two different options happening apart from the 3G apart from the 3GPP, whatever we are trying to build standards and a consensus on the 6G standards, we are also talking about an open RAN system, not the ORAN. ORAN is again a model. Development of this ORAN is what we talk about, an open RAN. We have been talking to a close group of countries where can we have a completely developed open RAN architecture which will be open, useful for the world. So we are pushing into different directions. I'm very sure India will definitely lead the way. I request each one of you to ensure that the whatever the aim of the government to really create and build up what we say the 6G ecosystem comes from India be a true reality. And for that to happen, even we have started voluminously, we have even started 5G test labs across the country. We have more than 100 5G test labs. We are developing this as 5G ecosystems. We're even going to equip them as even 6G test information, because you know the 6G cannot run without its use cases. You need to bring in these use cases like immersive education, networking, sensing. This is going to drive the 6G transient phase. So while we talk about 6G communication technologies, research happening across the world, and in our country itself, I'm glad that we have more than 400 different proposals worked on, but more than 200 institutions working only on 6G. So with this happening, I'm very sure we will definitely set the standard and be world leaders in the 6G. And thank you, Sashi, for organizing such workshop. We hope we'll get to know more inputs. We'll be glad to see that if we can bring out some key points which we need to concentrate on the way forward. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for that insightful special address. And may I also request you, sir, Sri Robert Gerard Ravi, to kindly do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude and appreciation, a memento to our very eminent speaker, Mr. Shyam Mardikar, as he has to leave now due to some urgent appointment commitments that he has. We once again thank you, sir, for sparing your time and being here with us. And thank you, Ravi, sir, for doing the honors. And ladies and gentlemen, as we carry forward the proceedings of our inaugural session, I have the proud privilege in inviting our very special guest, a very eminent esteemed speaker, Lieutenant General Dr. S.P. Kochar, Director General, Cellular Operators Association of India. So let's put our hands together to welcome sir for the special address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start first by thanking Shashi and TVR for getting me here on stage. It is my proud privilege to stand here and deliver this special address. To start with, I would like to congratulate the government. I would like to congratulate DOT for a very fast rollout along with the industry. I would like to congratulate MITI for doing wonderful things in electronics. I'd like to congratulate the NSCS for doing wonderful things in cybersecurity. But, okay, I'll save it for later. You will see that there are areas where congratulations need to be worked out. So these are areas where we have done well, so congratulations are due. There are areas which I will touch upon, which I feel require more attention. I had a prepared speech to come and talk to you here, but then I thought, what am I going to talk about what others have already not spoken about? They are much more knowledgeable than me. What Shyam said, I can never ever hope to even copy. What Mr. Marwa says, I can't hope to copy. So therefore, I'm going to speak what comes to my mind, and please bear with me accordingly. I look at this scenario as a systemic approach. There is nothing known as telecom. There is nothing known as IT anymore. It is an amalgamation of all together, and I would like to call it IC Tech, which I've been doing for many years. Information, communication technology, electronics, and cyber. And if they don't go together, then there is no system. The second thing that I would like to point out here is Then, now let us break down everything into components. For example, networks is one important component. The second important component is data and its storage. The third important component is compute. And the fourth important component is applications, which is incidentally the most important component. Now, if we see the evolution of each one of them, we will ourselves come to some conclusions. Networks have emerged from standalone networks 1G, then went on to 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, and then heading towards 6G. So what are we trying to achieve? Why is it that we are progressing from one G to another G to the next G? If I put it in simple words, the networks are trying to reduce time and increase space. My military friend sitting here will understand what I'm saying. Time to do anything on the network is reducing. The coverage of the networks is increasing. And where are we headed in networks? We are headed towards reaching every user of the network, be it a human being or be it a machine. That is where we are headed. And soon the networks will be part of human beings in 6G. So this is the evolution which has taken place. How is the face of networks being perceived? Earlier they were dumb networks, then they became intelligent networks, became smart networks, and now dynamic networks. And this is going to continue progressing. And this is a remarkable work being done by the network engineers, by the labs, by the government in evolving these networks. Really remarkable work, and that's why I congratulated them. Next component we come to is data. Because networks are supposed to be carrying data. So instead of talking about generation of data, let me talk about storage of data. That is more important, storage and usage of data. It started with what my instructor here used to teach us, databases, then became relational databases, then became virtualized data centers, and so on. It went into cloud, then it went into fog, and now it is getting onto mist and on-device storage. This is again, the trend is same. The data storage and manipulation is slowly converging and yet reaching the user and entering the user. This is where data is headed. You may call it old wine in a new bottle, or you call it evolution. It means the same thing. Next is compute. It has followed the same path as data has. Standalone compute, then distributed computing, and now edge computing. We started with class-based networks with centralized computing in 2G, and now we are at edge computing with 5G. So again, we are going forward. We're going to the edge of the network, entering the users. All very well. If you look at each field by itself is doing very well, and that is why in the beginning itself I congratulated MIT, I congratulated DOT, I congratulated the government. Let's go to cyber. Cyber has evolved, and cyber has been doing well, but it has been an overlay till 4G. It's only now with 5G it is becoming organic. And cyber has also evolved from securing a pipeline to securing the components of cyber, that is packetized security. This is again, the trend is the same. Increase the speeds, increase your area of influence, and enter the user. Everywhere it is the same. So why is it that if all of them are doing so well individually, collectively when we put all this together into a system, we don't find the answers that we thought would come? Why is it that we are not finding any applications worth the name in 5G? When every component is doing well, why is it we are not finding? And why is it that we put the entire onus on a user and tell that the user will find solutions and then we will monetize? It won't happen. It just won't happen. So here I will pause and I will borrow a phrase which my daughter used when she addressed the Shivnadar alumni a few years back. She said, and I quote, "Chaos breeds innovation." Unquote. Now when I apply this to the scenario which is existing today, all these subsystems that I spoke about are by themselves maturing very fast, but at different speeds. But they are part of the same system. So if they mature at different speeds, there is going to be chaos when we integrate the entire thing and present it to a user. There is going to be chaos when we do intra-working rather than only inter-working. So this is the chaos that exists. And if you independently take your mind to any situation along this evolution in any field, you will find that chaos and innovation are two sides of a seesaw. Sometimes chaos is heavier, sometimes innovation is heavier. And when innovation is heavier, there are applications. There are applications because innovations take advantage of the chaos and produce products which can be used by the user. And when chaos and innovation get balanced and there is stability, that technology has matured and it's time to move on to the next technology. So that is the way I look at it. And we have seen this. If you look at the odd Gs, 1G, 3G, 5G, the chaos is more than the innovation. And that means we will not find too many applications in any one of these three flavors. But when it comes to even Gs, the innovation has taken over. It is countervailing, or it is became heavier than the chaos, and therefore the monetization, the application started coming in. I'm contextualizing the words chaos and innovation. And what will happen now, we will continue in this state of flux because there is so much of work happening in each one of these subcomponent fields that chaos will continue to prevail for a few years. We will keep searching for innovative solutions which we will term as applications throughout the world, not only in India. And we won't find any killer application. But given a few years, innovation will take over. And innovation will take over from the experience we have gathered from the chaos. And that innovation will lead to applications. And then we will see a slew of applications coming forward and not one killer application. And that is where monetization will start happening. So what is it we should expect from the government? What is it that we should expect from the industry during this period when we are in this fuzzy area between chaos and innovation? The government is responsible for policies and regulations. The industry is responsible for implementing these policies and regulations in a manner that it not only suits the government but also suits their business interests and the citizenry in the reverse order. Now, rather than saying there is chaos there also, I would like to say the government must realize that in this melting pot where technologies are changing and causing chaos, they have to sit up and see that the policies and regulations are conducive, are changed often, so that they finally come to level playing field where it helps the ecosystem. Policies and regulations must be derived in unison. And when I say unison, industry and government have to sit together. And it is not sitting together and being told, you do this, or we are not going to do this. So this is a very common thing which happens across a table. That theoretically we are sitting together, functionally we are not even consulting each other. That has to cease. We have to sit together as peers and we have to discuss and then take decisions, and then those decisions need to be implemented. We cannot afford to be dictatorial. There is a trend to change this, but that trend has to be hastened up. The second thing is about marrying policies and regulation creations with technology. And these are my personal views. Today, TOT is a separate department, MIT is a separate department, cyber is handled by somebody else. But all of them have to become a system. Policies for each one of them are separate. So policy creators are separate, but when it comes to a system, whose policies become applicable? So this is a question for which I have no answer. I have not been able to find any answer. I have thrown this question at many people in government. I have asked them, what are you planning to do about it? There are no answers. If policies for each sub-vertical continue being dictated by different verticals, chaos is continuing to prevail. It cannot happen that chaos won't be there. So some solutions have to be found to marry up these. I'm not saying merge them, I'm saying marry them up. It has happened in the regulatory field for sure, up to an extent. The regulator now has jurisdiction over telecom as well as IT. The TDSAT has jurisdiction over both. So some marriage has taken place there, but a formal look at these things is required, and the earlier we do it, the better it is. We are no longer in the era of standalone verticals. We are in a converged era, and we are going to continue to be there. And before 6G becomes, the 6G networks become part of the humans and expand so much that we can't control them at that point of time. It is time now to sit down and dwell not only on the core verticals but also on these peripheral things. We are already seeing network as a service emerging. We didn't have this name earlier. We had software as a service. Earlier we had subroutines being called. Then it became network as the software as a service. Then it became network as a service. And now we have platform as a service which is emerging. So what is happening? I come back to the same theme, innovation. And innovation driven by user requirements. So this is where the government has to recognize this, the industry has to recognize this, that this is a fuzzy area which cannot be left unattended to look after itself. And what will happen in the future as we go along? The innovators will rule the roost. And I'm sorry to say that innovators are not only startups and SMEs, innovators are even large corporations. Because funding required for R&D and innovation cannot come only from the government. It has to come from the industry also. And therefore, if we require real innovation in the true sense, it has to range from startups to large corporations. And it will be a fallacy that only startups will be a building block. Maybe they may contribute majorly, but we can't afford not to touch the MNCs and the various other people who can contribute. Those are the ones who will innovate and gain from that innovation. And they have to sit down together. Like I am saying, the government has to sit down together with the industry to come out with the sound policies and regulations. Similarly, the innovators have to sit down with the users and the government and the industry together on a round table and find out what is it that they should innovate for. Just opening labs and saying we are innovating doesn't make sense, not to me. So therefore, these are some of my thoughts I thought I'd leave with you. And pardon me if I've gone across the rut, but I thought rather than reading out a prepared script, I will talk what comes to my mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, we are awaiting the arrival of our honorable chief guest any moment now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting for the operator address, Shri Sanjeev Kumar, Chairman and Managing Director, TCIL. So let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, my thanks to BHARAT Exhibition for organizing this conference. Though we were late in rollout of 4G service, but India has seen the fastest rollout of 5G service across the globe. And the most popular three applications which we talk about 5G is high-speed connectivity, low latency applications, and M2M applications. But I think the most impactful applications which has been there, which has brought a lot of socio-economic transformation in country and across the globe is high-speed broadband connectivity. High-speed broadband connectivity has become the basic infrastructure for various other use cases. For example, education, how connectivity is becoming instrumental in extending qualitative education facilities to remote and far-flung areas where you don't have good quality teachers available. For example, states like Uttarakhand, where the schools are located in remote areas, a teacher sitting at central location at Dehradun, they are able to conduct classes across more than 500 schools. And the same platform is being used not only for e-education purpose, for various other use cases, for example, for training of teachers, for even having meetings with the state government officials and panchayat members. So the benefits from the same platforms are enormous. Now seeing the success, the state government is planning to expand the same facilities to more schools, more than 1,000 schools and so on. Similarly, in another area where connectivity is playing an important role is healthcare sectors, and we have seen that during COVID time, both for education and healthcare, that how connectivity has been helpful to impart education facilities and for consultation with the doctors. So connectivity again is becoming a basic infrastructure to connect primary healthcare center, tertiary healthcare center to one common platform and help the patients to consult a specialist doctors sitting in a remote part of countries. Other areas which has seen a great benefit from connectivity is financial transactions and digitization of the banking systems. The benefit of that is again enormous and visible across the countries. Today you can forget your pass at home, or you can forget to put money, cash on that, but if you have mobile with you, it facilitates your life to do any sale or any transaction. The another area which is seeing the benefit from connectivity is homeland security. As part of smart city solutions, और सिक्योरिटी अंडर निर्भया स्कीम जो है, वी आर सीइंग रोल आउट ऑफ CCTV सिस्टम्स जो है इन डिफरेंट सिटीज़, रेलवे स्टेशंस, metro stations and so on जो है, and which is helping to improving the security solutions within the country जो है. Now with AI जो है, this in last 2-3 years AI becoming more popular and there are various use case in different walk of life we are seeing through AI is going to put another great demand for use of high speed broadband connectivity. So till we have a connectivity, whether which G we are using, 4G, 5G or 6G, till you as a citizen you have a connectivity, it's going to bring lot of socio-economic benefits to you, to ease your life of living, to do your day-to-day course of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anrit sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the industry address, we have on the dais with us Mr. Sandeep Saxena, Head of Technology and Solutions, Mobile Networks, India, NOKIA. And let's put our hands together to welcome sir for the industry address.
स्लाइड्स आगे कैसे जाएंगी? लैपटॉप से हो जाएगा? Good afternoon, everybody. My fellow colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I come to the topic of 5G and beyond, what Colonel Kocher said very rightly, a kind of a chaos which is there, I would like to briefly touch upon some of the economic indicators of India. So there are various reports which suggest that by 2027, India will be the world's third largest economy, and it will become by the end of 2047 a fully developed economy. Recently there was a visit of the World Economic Forum president here who suggested that India is on track to achieve an economy worth $10 trillion. Now, if we really have to achieve and reach this level of economy, there is a huge role which is being driven by the digital economy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us our Honorable Chief Guest, Hrs IST, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Let's put our hands together to welcome Sir, as I request Mr. Shashidharan, Managing Director, BHARAT Exhibitions, to do the honors of welcoming our Honorable Chief Guest with a floral bouquet. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you, sir, once again for sparing your valuable time. And ladies and gentlemen, I would now request Honorable Chief Guest and all our eminent dignitaries on the dais to kindly do the honors of lighting the ceremonial lamp and formally inaugurating Bharat 6G 2024. May I also request Mr. T.V. Ramachandran to kindly come up on the stage and join our dignitaries for the lamp lighting. Thank you, sir. And a huge round of applause for the ceremonial formal inauguration of Bharat 6G 2024, the second international conference and exhibition on 6G and beyond connectivity for a digital world.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
Dignitaries for a group photograph with the lamp. Thank you. Thank you, honors, may I request you to kindly take your seats. And I now have the proud privilege in inviting Honorable Chief Guest Sri S. Krishnan, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, for the inaugural address. Let's put our hands together to welcome Sir for his kind address.
Good morning to all of you. Mr. T.V. Ramachandran, President of BIF, Shri A. Robert Ravi, DDG SRI of DOT, my colleague in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Mr. S.K. Marva, Professor Kiran Kuchi of Dean R&D from IIT Hyderabad, and other participants in this opening session, which I think opened some time ago, fortunately, for all of us. And, you know, one of the perils of being a civil servant in India is that you get to stand in for a variety of things when, you know, you have to make it up on the run. As the minister was expected to attend this session and was unable to do so due to other commitments, he requested me to stand in for him, and unfortunately I had another commitment earlier in the morning, and so the formal lamp lighting had to get a little delayed. And sometimes when it gets delayed, although they had applied all the technology that needs to be applied to it in terms of a little bit of camphor to get it lit fast, I think the camphor was on the wick for too long and stopped behaving like camphor. So it's a bit like that even with the way that technology gets applied to various situations. And we need to do it in time, at the right time, and at the right moment. You have to catch a technology wave at the right time. And what India has been attempting to do with both 5G and now with 6G is catching the wave at the right time. And something which India as a country lost out on in the earlier waves of communication technology has finally been made possible, both in the case of 5G and in the case of 6G. That's taken a lot of concerted effort from across different ministries in the Government of India and industry and academia acting together. There's been a lot of effort from all of these players to ensure that India takes a crucial role in the way that both 5G and 6G technologies are rolled out in the country. And this is important that we are taking our rightful place, because the impact that communication can have on overall growth, on productivity, on the rest of the economy is something which is well documented by now. And to adapt that technology to the specific circumstances of a large country like India is very crucial. And therefore, we need to have this role in setting the standards, in being part of that entire process and being key players in that process. And which is what government has been attempting to enable, both through MeitY and the Department of Telecom. Both of these agencies have been working hard to ensure that this happens. And our allies in this entire process have been the academic institutions, IIT Hyderabad, IIIT Hyderabad, IIT Madras, the entire effort led by Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy in terms of what needs to be done. This has been crucial. We functioned across various silos, various divisions. We brought together various players in this aspect and campaigned effectively to make sure that we achieve what is intended as a national goal in this particular space. And I think that is the significance of what can happen. The second element which I would like to highlight today is that the potentials of these technologies are immense in terms of where it can take the digital economy and where the digital economy can contribute to the rest of the real economy for enhanced productivity. So far we see the enhanced productivity in terms of personal communications and the communications that we have. We can't imagine a world today of 25 years ago or 20 years ago where communications were so limited, where you couldn't find everyone you needed to find at the end of a telephone. It's frustrating today when somebody doesn't answer a message or pick up a phone. But we lived with a reality, say 30 years ago when, when I joined the civil service, none of this was a reality. And we live with that reality, but society doesn't accept it anymore. But the possibilities of applying digital technology and in terms of the data economy really blossoming in old world manufacturing, old world industry, agriculture, and a range of others is something that 6G can really enable. Both 5G and 6G can really enable. We've had one of the fastest rollouts of 5G. Hopefully we will be ready for 6G when it comes, but deriving the full benefit of it by applying it to every crucial sector of the economy is what we need to be looking at and what needs to happen in the days to come. And hopefully that is what events of this nature will enable to happen, that keep us in a state of readiness, keep all segments of the economy in a state of readiness to make sure that the country as a whole reaps the entire positive benefits of technology of this nature, and growth, global growth, goes to the level that it needs to. And all these technologies go together. You have to have seamless data flows, a lot of data flows. If IoTs have to work, there is sensor technology behind IoTs. All of this creates a lot of data. So the data has to be, data sciences really work around that. And ultimately that leads to applications of artificial intelligence on the whole volumes of data that get collected. So in some senses, if we have to reap the benefits of all modern technology and reap the benefits of digital transformation, then all of this needs to every player in this space needs to get their act together to see that these technologies are harnessed in a way that they deliver the kind of benefits they are intended to. There are a large number of serious economists across the world, including, say, an organization like the IMF, which is not wont to make statements which are rash or reckless, who believe that the digital transformation that can happen now with the applications of these technology can result in the kind of productivity increases which the first industrial revolution caused and which transformed economy the way we know it. And therefore, it gives a country like India this whole opportunity of leapfrogging. And therefore, how ready we are for it, how we catch this wave at the right time really becomes important to come back to the wave theme all over again. And with that, let me sort of leave you with these few thoughts. I'm sure there will be a number of valuable sessions through the day. We in MeitY and likewise in the Ministry of Communications will look forward, I'm sure, to what emerges from these sessions today and the kind of recommendations that get made. We would love to benefit from the views and the wisdom that emanates from a gathering as distinguished as this, and we would certainly look forward to see the recommendations and carry them forward. I apologize once again for arriving late and trying to leave early, but that is the compulsion of the kind of day it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And may I request Mr. Shashidharan, Managing Director, Bharat Exhibitions, to kindly present a token of gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Hrs S. Krishnan, sir. Thank you, sir. We are extremely grateful that you could spare your valuable time and be here with us. And Secretary, sir, has a pressing commitment and appointment, so he may like to leave, but nevertheless, we are grateful to you, sir, for being here with us for this moment. And now, moving ahead with our next presentation, I would once again request Mr. Sandeep Saxena, Head of Technology and Solutions, Mobile Networks, India NOKIA, to kindly carry forward his presentation. Sir, a moment, sir. Can we have a group photograph before you leave, sir? Thank you. Mr. TV, sir. TV, sir, is not here. And let's once again put our hands together. Just a moment. We have Mr. TV Ramachandran joining us for the group photograph. And a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for all our dignitaries, especially our Honorable Chief Guest, for being here with us and for that very insightful, very humorous, very informative address that we have, and a very good simile that he gave with the lamp lighting and the technology. Very well placed, sir. And once again, handing over to Mr. Sandeep Saxena to kindly carry forward his presentation. Over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. I very briefly thank Mr. Krishnan for touching upon the all-important aspect of economy here. So, like I said that when we look at some of the big aspects of the Indian economy, which is set to become world's third largest economy by the end of 2027 and a fully developed economy by the end of 2047. Where I start was the WEF president talking about that India in the coming years is all set to achieve the 10 trillion economy mark. And one of the biggest contributors for the Indian economy is basically the digital economy, which in the previous years has grown almost at the rate of 16%. And by the year 2026, it is expected that, it will contribute approximately 20% to the entire Indian economy. And by the year 2030, there are reports which suggest that, the digital economy will touch 1 trillion kind of a mark. Now that's a big figure. And if I have to share some other indicators with you, the digital infrastructure, the eKYC, UPI, the Aadhaar card, they have reduced the onboarding time of the consumers by almost like 80%. And as a result, the online transactions in the last 5 years, they have grown from 3 billion to 13 billion. And this is all possible because of the digital economy. And what is needed in order to make this further successful is basically the availability of a next-gen mobile connectivity infrastructure. Today, this infrastructure is being driven by 5G. And as we all know that the year 2023 has seen an unprecedented growth in the rollout of 5G, in India, the fastest, in the world. 5G is here to stay for some time. It will continue for a few years. Now the thing is that, what next? So what is beyond 5G is 5G advanced. And 5G advanced basically is set to evolve 5G to its fullest and the richest capabilities. In NOKIA, we define 5G advanced with the help of 4 E's: the experience, the expansion, the extension, and excellence. So the experience is all about the immersive experience, which is based on mixed reality, extended reality. The expansion basically takes the services beyond the traditional communication services. Here we basically talk about the new kind of services which are possible from our networks, for the 5G advanced networks. We are talking about time synchronization as a service, something which is extremely important, in the financial transactions. And then when we talk about the extension is nothing but extending the reach of connectivity. Extending the reach of connectivity for millions of IoT devices, or the red cap that we talk about. The extension we talk about is the non-terrestrial networks, NTN, which is getting standardized, under the 3GPP umbrella in 5G advanced. When we talk about excellence, it is all about the operational excellence. And this operational excellence is built because of energy efficiency and because of the enhancements which are expected in the AI and ML space. 5G advanced is basically making way for 6G. It will prove to be the biggest stepping stone for 6G here. And what will 6G do here? The 6G era will bring to us a network that will take us from connectivity to a kind of an experience. That will take us from information to knowledge, and that will take us from effectiveness to a purpose. 6G is basically driven by digital physical fusion. It's basically the real network which is to be mapped with the digital or the virtual network. It's basically the mapping of physical objects, physical systems, to a digital world or the virtual world. And one of the biggest examples of this digital physical fusion is basically the use of digital twins. And I guess Shyam, spoke about the digital twins, how it is being used for the infrastructure planning, how it is used for the network design, planning, and optimization by all the operators here. And the next part is the human augmentation. Human augmentation is all about, enhancing the human capabilities, using extended realities, enhancing the interface between human and the computers, which will be driven by a lot of devices with the help of extended reality, with the help of AR glasses, with the help of VR headsets. And this is all about, bringing the human augmentation here. The key value drivers of 6G are going to be green by design, security and privacy, because a lot of data would be there in the network, and it is therefore very important that, we have a very secure and a kind of a private network for all of us here. The digital inclusion talks about affordability, it talks about consumability, it talks about accessibility. Now 6G, we know, has the capability of delivering extreme performance or the ultra capability networks there. What I mean by this? The extremely high bandwidth, the extremely low latency, the extremely high performance. Shyam talked about, the performance in terms of spectral efficiency, the power which can be there in a densified cell. So extremely high kind of an efficiency, extremely low energy consumption, and again, extremely high security. So this is basically the power of 6G technology, and together with the cognitive experience, and together with the enhancements in AI and ML space, 6G will find a big enabling layer for most of the use cases. As far as India is concerned, and a lot of fellow speakers have spoken about the socio-economic development. Most of this socio-economic development in India would be riding this 6G enabling layer. Whether we talk about digital infrastructure or the smart cities, whether we talk about industrial transformation, the boost to technology development and research, a big boost to the sectors like healthcare, education, and agriculture, the emergence of new services like extended reality, immersive experience, and most importantly, job creation as well as skill development. So that's basically the power of 6G here. As far as India is concerned, the India 6G promise would be based on the Bharat 6G vision, which in turn is based on the principles of affordability, sustainability, and ubiquity. We in Nokia, we are a member of the NIXI Alliance. During the G20 summit last year in Delhi, the NIXI Alliance signed an MOU with the Bharat 6G Alliance in the space of the collaboration, what we have to bring for the 6G technology in India. Nokia has set up a 6G lab in our R&D center in Bangalore, basically to support the Bharat 6G vision. It is a vision which sees India at the helm of design, development, and the deployment of 6G technology in India by the year 2030. And if we have to summarize some of these thoughts, 6G is necessary in shaping the future of the communication. 6G is both evolutionary as well as revolutionary. The 6G in India shall follow the Bharat 6G vision. And we in Nokia, we stand committed in taking this country beyond 5G and in line with the Bharat 6G vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege in inviting Mr. Shashidharan, Managing Director, Bharat Exhibitions, to kindly propose the vote of thanks. Okay. And before we have the vote of thanks, I would request sir to kindly do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude to all our eminent speakers. We present to our special guest, requesting eminent speaker, esteemed guest, Shri Sanjeev Kumar, CMD TCIL, to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos. And I would request you, sir, to kindly present a token of gratitude to our special guest, Shri A. Robert Gerard Ravi, DDG SRI. I request you, sir, to kindly do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude to Lieutenant General Dr. S.P. Kochar, Director General, COAI. And I request you, sir, to do the honors of presenting it to Mr. Sandeep Saxena, Head of Technology and Solutions, Mobile Networks, India, Nokia. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for doing the honors. Requesting Mr. Shashidharan to present a token of gratitude to Shri Sanjeev Kumar. And also to Mr. Ashwini Rana, Vice President, BIF.
Thank you very much. We are already late, running late. The next chairman was asking me, so I told him, you have to really do a good job to make sure that everybody gets the lunch on time. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a quick break of 15 minutes, not more than that. Please do come back. My team is small. We can't run around and get you all to start it. So we're going to start exact after 15 minutes. I would like to thank each and everyone on the panel, and special thanks to the secretary. Minister is supposed to come, but he could not make it. But thank you very much for Secretary joining, General Kochar, Sanjeev ji, Sandeep, Ashwini ji, Robert Ravi ji. Thank you so much, sir. I know you cancelled 2 meetings to join us. So that shows the standardization interest to bring 6G. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.